Hello, everybody. Hope your day is going well, and welcome here to the Sports Talk Network, and specifically, welcome here to This Is Us Reviews and Theories. Break was a good one, fun one, successful one. However, I had other things going on, so I certainly went faster than expected, even for the holidays and otherwise. And finishing up the game of Who Done It. Welcome to watch those videos, and I talk about that. I might tell on Sunday. But as regards to This Is Us, it is back. Now we continue with season 3, starting with the second half of the season, and to see how exactly everything is going in that regard. If things actually load here. All right, it's taking a little bit longer to load. It's all right. It is what it is, but all right, come on now. All right. Anyways, let's get this going. Let's move it on the tracks. Got a lot of stuff for me to do today. Anyways, moving right along. The Pearson family is back, gathered for election night. 7 weeks passed, whether we left them off in a twist-heavy mid-season finale. And it does feel only fair, at least to me, and it also being par for the course for This Is Us, that a mere few minutes into this episode, we're left on a few more cliffhangers to keep us hooked, as any show would do. But just for everybody, excuse me, sorry about that. As a refresher, last year's The Beginning is the End, or The Beginning is the End of the Beginning, revealed that Jack's long presumed dead brother, Nicky, was actually alive and living somewhere unknown, while Randall and Beth's relationship was put in the worst position we've seen it to date. But then I'm going to flash forward hint that their troubles could be lasting. As we check in with the clan on Randall's election night, we spot various points of tension. Kate, back home with Toby, crying for 5 minutes straight. Randall and Beth shooting each other looks from a distance. The state of their marriage unclear. And Kevin and new girlfriend Zoe back home at the election party, but also in a bad place. Indeed, Zoe tells Kevin she can't do this and hands him back a keychain with a young John Stamos on the cover. Which is interesting in its own right. There for me. Suddenly, we're back 7 weeks, right where we left off in 2018. Randall waking up on the couch the next morning, telling Annie's Beth that despite their heated argument, he still plans on running for city councilman and giving everything he has to this election. She thinks back to his trip to Washington, D.C. with his father just before Jack's death, a memory that runs through the episode in pieces. Jack tells a teen Randall what a great man you're going to be, and it's a beautiful piece of encouragement, if also a sort of pressure for Randall to live up to what his father envisioned. Especially hard to do when great is so hard to quantify. Kate and Toby had just learned they were having a boy, and now they're in the next stage of baby planning. First thing first, creating a nursery, which means clearing out their junk room, including Toby's toys, which he preferred to call them action figures. He tells them to sell them, but she accidentally sells off a box marked DNS for do not sell, though she thought it was short for donations. And it's filled with Toby's most prized possessions. Valuable collectibles, yes, but also figures from his childhood, which got him through so much, and which he planned on passing on to his own children. Finally, there's Kevin and Zoe. The final arc in the episode, meaning the only time hopping going on for this week, is back and forth from election night. They've just returned from Vietnam, reeling from the revelation that Kevin's uncle is alive. I'm not going to tell my family a thing, he says, fearing the intensity of the reaction. Zoe, meanwhile, makes herself comfortable on his couch, surely saying it feels good to be home. Kevin catches her phrasing and he twists the moment into convincing her to move in. He gives her an apartment key and a chain feature featuring, you guessed it, a young John Stamos. The last 7 weeks is a layered puzzle, even by This Is Us standards, working off of the 2018's twist there at the end, at the mid-season finale, as well, and its own opening cryptic teases. This is partially true of Randall and Beth. The hints dropped in the mid-season finale's flash forward, and this week's initial scene make watching their whole dynamic a guessing game, which doesn't allow their scenes to fully breathe, or us to live in the pain between them. And unfortunately, the resolution ends up feeling a bit like a cop-out and just not of all that we thought it was going to be. For all of us warned of the warnings of trouble ahead, and one more might argue between the pair, Randall realizes he was wrong. He's been staying overnight at the office working hard, taking his family for granted. At the moment, he runs into a Reverend Holly at a bakery where he is supposed to be picking up scary blueberry pie for the Pearson's New Year's Eve. But then earlier, he'd been presented with bombshell opposition research on Councilman Brown that likely bring the incumbent down, but in a dirtier way than Randall envisioned. By the end of Randall's conversation with the Reverend, who encouraged him to be a man, he'll be proud of on his deathbed, he apologized to his daughters and reconciled with Beth. No one honorably throwing away the research. But there we go. And I think it was interesting in regards to this episode as well, from what I see, of how that Randall is and how he's taking this championship and wanting to win this match. And it's certainly going to be interesting to see how that plays out moving forward for sure. The Nikki mystery is more engaging, if only because it's ongoing and with our drinking. Kevin and Zoe head to the military records office, where they're informed that without written authorization from a congressman or similar authority figure, they cannot unlock the secrets to Nikki's life, to Nick's life. Fortunately, Zoe has a connection, a congressman whom she says she dated. It's vague, but Kevin is too excited by the idea of finding out the truth to care, at least initially, because, I don't know, I might be the same way. Once they actually meet with Zoe's Mystery X, it's clear to Kevin things are a bit messier. The man agrees to release Nick's records to them out of decency, but expresses profound hurt over the way Zoe ended things between them. He leaves, and Kevin prods her for more information. She says they were together for years, talked about living together, but eventually realized things weren't right as they got closer, and called things off in an email. Yeah, that's a great way to do that. Email, almost as bad as texting. Dumping someone through text. Just tell them straight to their face in person, or at the very least, a video message, FaceTime, Snapchat call, something. I don't know. Anyways, about a week later, Kevin gets the records and is frustrated by their content or lack thereof. Nick, we learned, was medically evacuated, sent to a psychological evaluation, and then discharged a few months later, signing his papers, Clark Kent. That Kevin is disappointed by this sparse details only compounds his anxiety over Zoe's revelation. She still hasn't unpacked her boxes and appears unwilling to do so. I told you I'd move in to make you happy, she says. Every step of this relationship has been you pushing me. Oh, she tells him she needs space. It's the last we see of Kevin and Zoe before election night. As for Toby and Kate, once more, their story feels a bit less pressing from the rest of the action, though it's effectively played by Chrissy Metz and Chris Sullivan here. Kate tries to track down where she sold the prized box of toys, But she winds up at a New Year's Eve college party, running into a kid named Gabe who will not budge, even after a deeply emotional plea from Kate explaining the collectibles significant to them. Back home, she and Toby agree they're starting a new family and they don't need pieces of nostalgia. We come with us, as Kate explains, but in a powerful emotional moment, Toby reveals to Kate a stunning version of the football stadium her father built for her. Placed in the center of the nursery, will have something from their childhoods to pass on after all, and there for sure is a reason for Kate's tears. Good tears. Yet this is ultimately a Randall-centric episode. Our last glimpse before election night is of him and Beth back in bed together, intimate and loving. He says he's not going to make a final push in Philadelphia. She's puzzled by this. You are a man who cares too much and tries too hard. It's who you've always been. It's who I married. Great man. I will not let you forget who you are. Randall once more remembers what his father told him that night in Washington. How they talked about balance and what the universe plans for you. And so we go to election night, where the results are ridiculously close, aided by some surprise support from Reverend Ali, no doubt, but more importantly, a testament to Randall's grit through the campaign. Randall makes a speech thanking all those who came out for giving them permission to go home. Results will be coming home late, and there's no sense of people waiting around nervously for hours. Kevin is the first to walk out, quiet and upset. Still reeling from Zoe effectively ending things, but she follows him outside. In a tender moment, she reveals the root of her commitment issues. You're one of the only people that know what my dad, she says, referring the abuse she withstood, which she told Kevin about in Vietnam. She works through her trauma before affirming she wants to live with him. Even though you might be the most pushy person I've ever met, I think I like what you're pushing for. I'm in love with you, she says. And I want John Stamos back. Doesn't get more interactive than that, I guess. But later they unpack boxes, finally. They come across the postcard. It reads, Jack, last one. CK. Addressed to Kevin's dad from a man in Bradford, Pennsylvania, with the same initials as Clark Kent. They take this as proof that Jack knew Nick was alive. A new mystery. Why did Jack hide this from the rest of his life and from his family? We end on Randall and Beth in bed once more. Randall contemplating his past, his future, the ghost of his father. Sometimes I feel like a big old puppet, and he's pulling the strings from up there, tugging on me wherever he wants me to go, he says. And that it feels like there's been a plan for my life from the beginning. Maybe everyone feels that way. Maybe I'm not that special, and this is just what it is to be a person. Be a person. It almost reads, as we say, this is us, a sense of like pushing up against everyday life. So by the phone ringing, he answers, he takes it when he hears, and he tells Beth, I won. There's a moment of confusion, joy, and tension. This pair will likely be tested again, and Randall will face a new challenge to live up to. For family, for himself, and for his late, great father indeed. But that was an awesome episode. Finally concluding, even though already concluding in the first half of this second half, or first episode of the second half of the season, of the election, and him, if he was going to win or not. It's one of those, they either do that or they're really stringing things out to try to get it to being the finale of the season. Because now you can already move forward from the results, the new issues, the new awesome, this and that, moving forward. This Is Us. But then again, remember what This Is Us is all about. It's about kind of from the very beginning of the season one, episode one of the premiere, of showing things farthest in the future, and then telling the story in a motion. But also, as it's going like this, or as it's kind of trying to do this, it's doing this in the flashbacks or flash forwards, and it's kind of showing of things of where things could be and are to be. And then as you're watching through the season and through the episodes, the puzzle pieces to connect of that line of the story, whether it was a flash forward or a flashback, more so flashbacks. It all intertwines and it all has a purpose. And that's what I like about This Is Us. It can be kind of confusing if you think about it, But if you do think about it, try to think about it, it's actually pretty cool and ingenious of the way that this show is done in that way. Just as much as I talk about This Is Us, or Life in Pieces and how they do their shows with each section of the family, and then so like 4 little stories within the episode of each part of the family there, and then the final one usually is then of all of them together of what the main thing was of the story in that episode. But during the quote unquote whole entire episode, you got little stories of each family and their day leading into whatever is a party or this or that or a family dinner. And then at that family dinner, they're talking about things that you did see happen because you saw of each family's thing, stuff. And then maybe new things. Point is, just like that, and how I marvel and enjoy and like that way of doing a show, especially a show like Life in Pieces, the short family, here with the Pearson family, or just families in this episode or in this show, This Is Us, the way they do things is pretty dang awesome. So that's my review of it. Welcome to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Welcome to like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you know when I go next live. I do have to shave sometime soon, but anyways, I hope to speak with you all soon. And above all else, as always, take care.